Like 9/11 happened and we weren't allowed to have fun anymore.
The Midwest, home sweet home in good old Indiana. A place of small towns, cozy families gathered together, and fields of corn and rustic woods. But, like any town, there is a dark underbelly that often goes unnoted. We are part of that darkness. We lurk in the shadows to bring you the best in horror, metal, and stories of the grotesque. This is Blood in the Cornfields.
All right, what does Mark say? Welcome in, fellow cellar dwellers. We're back. And it's still Pride Month. And I still have a guest. And it's...
It's me. I'm Hell.
Yes. Hell is here with us. Hell hath no fury.
Mm-hmm. Not at all.
So we're kind of doing this a little bit solo this episode, and the only reason for that is because Mark is in Texas. He's going to be spending time with his daughter, and hopefully going to be bringing her back. So he'll be able to have a lot of time with her, and we want to make sure that he's able to do that, and he's given me a little bit of freedom to try to do an episode pretty much solo.
It's a slumber party vibe here today.
It really is, folks. So let's kind of get into some exciting topics that are going to be taking place. We have some very gay news. Monster High.
Oh, I guess that is gay.
It's very gay.
It is, yeah. Yeah. Girly takeover today.
Yes.
We're talking about Monster High.
To start off with, and if you don't like it, forward it. So... Monster High is getting a brand new movie. It's not going to be... So we've heard, and if you guys know about Monster High, if you guys are big Monster High nerds, some of you are. I know you are.
If you haven't invested at least 10 hours of your life into the Monster High lore, like, I don't want to be friends with you. I guess is where I'm at as an adult.
Yeah, I mean... It's such a part of pop culture. It's such a part of history. If you don't know about it, get out of here.
Yeah.
But
we live in different worlds. If this is not breaking news to you, that there's a new Monster High movie coming out.
And it's because of the fame of Barbie. They want to try to capture lightning in a bottle again. And I really hope so. Don't fuck this up. Where they're teaming up with Universal, because as you should, it's a
monster movie.
It's literally the monsters of all the Universal, original characters,
Mm-hmm.
the daughters of them. And so, yeah, we need this. And Akiva Goldsman is in charge. I don't know if he's writing or producing, but he is in charge, kind of helming up the project. And if you don't know him, he's done fantastic movies such as Batman and Robin.
The only Batman movie that matters besides Batman Returns.
And he also did A Beautiful Mind. He was a writer on that one. And he did several of the Star Trek franchise movies. And I think the TV show. So
I do love a Star Trek movie.
I genuinely think that it's in good hands. I don't think we have too much to worry about.
Yeah. And like the Nickelodeon one.
Oh, yeah. Generation 3.
Yeah. Well, like, is it even that? Because it's a different lore than what's going on in
the movies.
Yeah, the movies are a different lore than what's going on in the cartoons than what's going on with the dolls.
Yeah, so again, if you don't know, there's like 2 Nickelodeon movies that came out that were musicals, and they're released on Paramount Plus.
Yeah, we obviously watched them.
Yes,
as they released.
Oh God! As soon as they released, and
we've seen them several times.
Yes. We've watched them together.
The music is bad.
Terrible. It's literally the same asshole that did the zombie franchise for Disney, isn't it?
It is. But I love zombie movies.
I mean, to each his own. They're glad
bad,
you do.
And I like them. I like all the exposition at the front of them. That's my favorite part of those movies.
Yeah, it is a lot of exposition, like info dumping at the very beginning of those films. Whereas with the Monster High one, yeah, they do it, but like they also expect you to know who these characters are. I mean, come on, they're like 10, 15 years old now. Nah, they're not that old.
I've been graduated from high school for 10 years.
That's what I was saying, like at least 10. They definitely
came out before I left high school.
Yeah. They came out when I was in high school.
Yeah. We're the same age.
I sometimes forget that we are.
I think you're older than me.
Am I? we're having revelations on the podcast. Join us. I think you are. In other news, Death Becomes Her. There was a lot of speculation that there was going to be a new movie coming out because we saw a poster. And who was on the poster?
It was Anne Hathaway and...
What's her face?
Goldie Hawn's daughter. What's her name?
Fuck, we just looked this
We literally
up.
just looked it up.
Yeah, Luke, you'll help us out, bud. But yeah, apparently when we looked this up, it is actually fake. The poster wasn't fake. Like, it was just a concept idea, not AI generated art, but just a concept. And like, they don't actually plan on making the movie anytime soon. Is that what we saw?
Yeah. That was what Luke read to us.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because he pulled up an article for us about it. And it was like, okay, but that musical, though.
Jennifer Hudson. Is that her name? No, that's not
No.
it. That's somebody else.
But we need that musical, though.
Kate Hudson? Is it Kate Hudson?
I don't know. We'll have Luke put it in.
But there's a musical, and that's real. And everybody should go see that in Chicago.
Yeah, it's in Chicago now. That's fucking cool.
Well, that's where it's starting.
Oh.
I think tickets are in pre-sale right now.
That's fucking cool.
And then I think it starts in October. I may be wrong.
That would make sense. Little known fact, I think Death Becomes Her was originally supposed to be a Tales from the Crypt movie, and it got scrapped. Yeah. It became something of its own.
I think it just got bigger.
Yeah, it genuinely did.
I love that movie. I love that movie so much. It's great Helen representation.
Accurate it is.
Yeah.
My goal in life is to one day basically play out the end scene with us just going to a funeral service.
And falling apart?
Yes.
I was thinking that we should dress up as them for Halloween one year.
I think we should do that.
Yeah.
I think that'd be cool. Who would you be?
Obviously, I'd be Helen.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense. No shit. No shit. Yeah, we should do that. Mm-hmm. Just like we plan on doing at some point, which I would love to do, a Susie and Angela outfit.
Oh, Susan?
Is her name?
Her name in it is Susan.
It's not Susie?
No, it's Susan. So when I was her for Halloween, I just walked around and people were like, "Who are you?" And I was like, "I'm Susan."
Do you not know who she is? The great...
Susan.
With the lipstick boob?
From your favorite... Well, I didn't do that because
I know you couldn't do that.
I was going
that would have been funny.
With kids, and I was like, maybe that's too far.
What would you have done? Put a fake titty and just... I want to know.
I
If you were prepared and this was an adult Halloween...
I mean, I would just cram a lipstick into my boob, and call it a day.
You don't need special effects.
Yeah, no, I have big boobs.
So the other bit of news that I also want to share is there's this really cool Instagram video that's been kind of making its rounds on horrors, kind of horror groups, and it looks really cool. It's from an Adrian Bowe movie called Les Vordelques, and it's a really neat vampire movie that's all done with puppets. It looks freaky. Puppets? Yeah. Hold on, let me
Actual puppets or these cowardice puppets you were talking about on PBS Kids?
No, it's not the Sid the Science Kid cowardice puppets.
When I was a kid, we were proud of our puppets. We weren't masking them in gross CGI skin.
Truth. So yeah, these are actual puppets. It's actually kind of freaky the way that they look. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull it up for you, Helen. So the whole story is about...
These people aren't puppets.
No, but look at the main skeleton dude. It's puppets. He's a puppet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's a puppet.
Okay, this guy is a puppet, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry. God damn it. So yeah, it looks really cool. It's basically about a count visiting a kind of weird family, and of course there is a nasty, scary vampire guy there that feasts some people. And it's kind of freaky. It's kind of freaky to look at. And I love it. And I love the uncanny valleyness about it. Apparently the movie came out in 2023 overseas and is now making its way to US theaters for a very limited run. If you have a chance to see it, please go see it. It looks amazing. We're going to be hunting this thing down. It looks very cool.
Yeah, too bad we live in Indiana where we don't get any movies. We're lucky if we get an A24 release in theaters here.
Truth to that. And last but not least, I would really like to shout out Smiling Friends for that wicked funny Halloween episode that just came out. Are you familiar with Smiling Friends, Helen?
Oh, yeah.
Fuck, I love that. Did you watch any of the new one?
I don't think I've seen this Halloween episode you're talking about, but maybe I did.
The one with the demon girlfriend?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
He marries the boss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
my God. That episode was everything to me. Like, if you are not familiar with Smiling Friends, get yourself familiar. It's on HBO Max. You can watch it there, or if you still have cable, Adult Swim. Mm-hmm. But it's so funny. Like, just that whole episode, it's so perfectly timed. All the little weird jump scares in between it.
Did you see, speaking of puppets, did you see what they did for, like, April Fools on their YouTube channel?
Oh, yeah. They actually had all, 3 episodes, in puppets.
They were, I don't remember if all 3 of them were puppets, but they were all 3 done by, different, animators and animation styles. At least one of them was puppets.
Yeah, I definitely remember
Maybe all of them were puppets, but they were different puppets.
I remember seeing...
I don't quite remember, but...
The Mr. Frog one was definitely a puppet, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. I hate that episode. Anything with Mr. Frog is not cool. I'm sorry.
That's a fair take. That's a fair take.
I don't. They're just so boring. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, the Halloween episode killed it. It was very, very good. Definitely need to watch. So... without further ado, let's kind of get into the, as Mark would say, meat and potatoes of the episode.
Oh, should we talk about how we know each other?
You know what? We
never
should
address that.
We should actually talk about how we know each other. How do we know each other? What is the story?
So, I met Ivy when she was looking for her wedding dress, and I was working at a small secondhand bridal boutique.
The Brass Cactus.
Mm-hmm. In Goshen. So she came in, and it was also a floral shop, and she walked in and she was wearing a Jason Voorhees mask.
Because it was in the middle of COVID.
Yeah, like a COVID mask.
Yeah.
Not like she didn't come in a full-on hockey mask.
That would have been badass, though. Could you imagine?
The effect still would have been the same. It was love at first sight. I had to go on a flower run to deliver some flowers and terrorize some Amish people. But
just with your look.
Yeah, just with my looks. And I was speeding back because I was like, ooh, I hope she's still there. And I helped her find her wedding dress.
Yes, and it was wonderful and a beautiful dress. Beautiful time. Mm-hmm. I'm still very sad that you didn't make the wedding.
I was blackout drunk when you invited me.
I know. That's my bad. I should have followed up.
And also was I've met her twice. I feel like this is just a thing people say to be polite in the Midwest. I didn't think it was serious.
Man. But we are continuing with our true crime.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're continuing with Party Monster.
Yes.
And getting into the true crime story of it.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. And how Michael Alig is not a cool dude.
Yeah, no, he's awful asshole, and we're actually going to explore that in better detail. It's kind of... So this time, just because we were not able to do as much as we typically do for true crime, we're still going to tell the story, but we're kind of going to do this as a watch party as well.
Yes, because Party Monster is also a documentary.
And it's definitely worth watching because we kind of get everybody's sides from this documentary. Or at least it kind of seems like it. No? Because I saw clips of Michael Alig talking, unless that was something else.
I mean, I think that it's still very much James St. James.
Yeah.
Imagining in perspective, as well as like the other like gossip and rumors and stuff.
So we'll be delving into that, a little bit, and then also kind of pulling back a little bit and looking at a couple other sources to kind of dissect the story itself.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So tune in just a little bit. We're going to kind of prepare ourselves, and then we will be right back.
Party promoter Michael Alig tells us
Party promoter Michael Alig has done it again.
500 of New York's most outrageous young nightclubbers.
New York got another dose of the club kids, this time on Harlem's subway.
Live in a world of sexual disorientation, drug-induced states of euphoria and glamour. Glamour beyond belief. The club kids.
I first met Michael my first night out in New York City. I wasn't out, looking for sex, especially not from another guy.
Nightclubs always have a certain core group of people who are fabulous, who dress up, get into clubs for free, and get all the free benefits.
Gruesome discovery by a woman could be the answer to what happened to a missing club kid. Angel Melendez disappeared back in March.
The head was cut off and was in somebody's freezer in Brooklyn.
I'm an easy target because I was with him the day before he was gone.
It's a slumber party. We're allowed to be sleepy.
That's true. So we have collected our thoughts. We've watched the documentary. We have kind of looked into a couple things. So now we're going to present the story to you. A true crime story, if you will. So our story begins with this little twat who was born in South Bend, Indiana.
We just watched the documentary Party Monster. So feelings are heated about this boy right now.
Very.
It's just very apparent how much of a piece of a shit he is.
Oh my god. I just even at the very beginning where like they're introducing, who Michael is as a person.
Yeah.
His mom is just like giddy about the fact that he's like, oh, he's such a troublemaker. You can even see it in the pictures. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. So Michael Alig is from South Bend, Indiana, which is where I'm from and where I live. He went to Penn High School, which is where I went to high school.
That's nuts.
He is the son of a German immigrant and reportedly was sexually abused as a child.
Oh, wow.
By different men in his life.
Jesus.
Not that excuses anything, but
no,
gives some context.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that because they didn't really mention that in the documentary, did they?
No, but it's reported in other things.
Cool. Well, terrible, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. So, Alig graduated from Penn in 84. Yeah, in 1984 he graduated from Penn and moved to New York.
And meets St. James right off the bat. No, that's not how it worked. Not like
that's not how it happened.
Not in the movie.
No, that's not how life works. But he started at a smaller private college that I had never heard of, and so I did not retain the name of it. And then he went to the New York Fashion Institute. I believe.
Wow, he actually did?
He didn't last long there because by 88, he was doing parties full time and hired by the Limelight to be their primary party promoter.
So for context, the Limelight is a club.
Yes.
A very big club that a lot of celebrities had performed at, and it was very gay.
It was a big old Catholic church. It might not have been a Catholic church, but it looks like a Catholic church.
Yeah.
I don't know what denomination of a church it was, but it was a church. There's an episode of Sex in the City where they're at the Limelight.
And that's news to me. I did not watch much Sex in the City growing up, wasn't allowed to, so it's like, oh, really? That's
I just rewatched it, or I watched it for the first time and Jared was rewatching it. But it was kind of fun because I was always like, oh, I know that that's a real nightclub that they're at. They're at the Limelight, and I'm like, oh, they're at Disco 2000.
Oh, shit. Damn.
Yeah, they also go to Bed, which was a real club where you would rent, like, instead of tables, they had beds.
Wow. That's fun. So yeah, Michael was good at throwing parties. He just kind of weaseled his way into, different, and into the club scene because, he was kind of charismatic. He had this air about him that made you want to trust him. And yeah, I can kind of see that in some of his pictures. He's kind of got like a devilishly handsome looking face.
Psychos are always really charming.
Yeah. And
I've never met a psycho who I didn't think was charming, at least a little bit. And I know a lot of psychos, man.
That's true. They hook you in with like their wiles. I don't know. They got an air about them where they know just the right words to say to you.
Well, they have to because they're awful people. So they have to figure out how to do that.
Yes. So it's bizarre. And damn, I think back to our previous watch party where we actually saw the movie, and I'm like, damn, they nailed these characters really well, not just in looks, but acting.
Yeah, so a very common complaint by people is the movie Party Monster is shit because the acting is ridiculous. And I think none of those people have ever seen like actual footage of like James St. James and Michael Alig and the other club kids and stuff, because that's like just kind of how they act.
Yeah.
Like they all have very silly put on like vocal affectations. Like James St. James' voice is like permanently just like in my brain. It's so specific.
Yeah. Well, he was like raised as like a trust fund baby, so he's got kind of a little bit more of kind of like a hoity-toityness to his voice.
Yeah, he's a silver spoon baby for sure. He was like one of the last of the celebutante era of New York nightlife. It was like the end of the Warhol Silver Factory. And like when Michael Alig like really gained popularity and when he started to pop off was after the death of Andy Warhol, because there was that big gap in the nightlife scene that he just filled.
Yeah, because they like when the documentary said something along the lines of like they needed celebrities because the celebrities were no longer.
Yeah, they needed something to attract people to the clubs. And so instead of like big name celebrities, it was just like, oh, these people look insane and I want to see them in real life.
Right? Wasn't there one that he like hired that was like a piss drinker, and then the other one that did like the champagne up the ass?
Oh yeah. So like at the parties, some of the draws were like people drinking their own piss and like champagne enemas and stuff. But I would argue that these things have existed in queer nightlife for a long time.
Right.
The overlap with fetish culture is just too great,
Yeah. No kidding.
And like, I mean, John Waters had Divine Eat Dog shit in the 70s. So
yeah. They even mentioned that like, oh, what are we going to get next? A shit eater? And it's like, well,
yeah.
I mean, what is the next step here?
I mean, you know, this was in the 90s, so this was after a lot of those sex clubs were wiped out due to the AIDS epidemic.
No.
So
true.
even more of a gap.
Oh, absolutely. And they were even talking about like the hepatitis C and other scares.
They never
that
said
they
what
had.
kind of hepatitis
No, they
had.
didn't.
So we don't. So I don't know if it was hepatitis C, but Michael Alig had hepatitis, and he would like go around like kissing people and like drinking out of their drinks and stuff. He was a menace. He was an awful, awful person.
He really was. And to kind of, I mean, we know that he's a murderer. I mean, that's no lie. He even like was kind of spreading it around like, yeah, I know I killed somebody. And to kind of lead up to that, because you know how we are on the show, we like to try to help you all get to know who the victim was. And unfortunately, there isn't a whole lot known about Angel, who was killed. What we do know about him is that he was born in Colombia, and he didn't move into the States until he was like 8 years old.
Yeah, so he immigrated. Angel Melendez immigrated to the United States to New York with his family at the age of 8 from Colombia.
He had a brother and I think a father. They never mentioned too much about the mom, but I assume she's there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, he was apparently pretty close with his brother for the most part, it seemed. Like they still kind of kept in contact, but a lot was left very vague about just who Angel was as a person.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of like personal reports on that are well like publicized
or documented.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So unfortunately, we can't get to know him in that way. But from what we've heard from his brother and different kind of sources, it seemed like he was a nice guy. Just kind of lost his way a little bit, and he was just trying to make ends meet by becoming a drug dealer.
I mean, he was making more than ends meet.
Well, like
he was making tons of money
to begin with, and that's how he got to becoming a big drug dealer. At least that's how it sounded. I don't know.
What we do know from like other people's reports is that he, in the early 90s, saw the club kids on daytime television like Geraldo, and what else were they on? They were on like Ricky Lake and all that jazz
with their outfits. And did that actually happen where the mom actually went on with them? Okay. I mean, yeah, she was in the documentary where she was like dancing around at the party and like doing K with them, and I'm just like, okay, lady.
Yeah, as a parent, are you doing ketamine with your child?
Am I? No, absolutely not. I could not do that. And I could not ever. That's really weird.
Yeah, taking your mom out to these parties is pretty wild. So
yeah.
I wonder what that says about her.
That's exactly my point. My point exactly. Like, proud of your son for doing this, huh?
Mm-hmm. And he lived in New York, so he must have already been somewhat aware of their presence in the city, of the club kids in the city.
Yeah, well, especially if he's like, interested in it and just kind of hearing different things. I mean, hell, what was it? Michael said that he ran into somebody like at the grocery store and did a bump and all this other shit. So they're around. Everybody knows each other in that little scene.
So Michael brings him in. He like starts showing up to clubs, and Michael brings him in as a drug dealer. And eventually he's on the payroll of the Limelight. And from all accounts that I have found, all he did was sell drugs there. So he was there in-house on the payroll drug dealer.
And like he goes by the name Angel. That's more of a nickname because his actual name's Andre, right? And like Angel was just kind of the name he was given just because he would show up and he'd be look at all the drugs I got, and he's got the pretty angel wings and everything. Like that.
So part of his signature costume is huge angel wings. It's like angel wings, a harness, and what are those hats? Those like leather hats? Daddy hats.
Yeah, but it's white, right?
I think he had different ones.
Did he? To match his outfit? I see one.
There's a lot of different outfits.
With him in a mohawk, which is kind of neat. I've never seen him.
Ooh, I haven't seen that picture. That's a good one.
Yeah, he's got little wings there. So yeah, and then there was like a raid at the Limelight that happened.
Yeah, so like it was essentially like a drug supermarket at the Limelight, and feds caught on, and there was a big raid, got shut down. Peter, the owner, was in big trouble.
Oh yeah, the patch guy.
Yeah.
Eye patch dude.
Yeah. Supposedly Michael, like, kind of sold him out, too. So, more points for Michael. But after that, Angel was not on the payroll anymore.
Yeah.
We know that.
And Michael kind of took him in to live with him, right?
Well, there were a bunch of people living in that house.
Yeah, I know, but
Or not house, apartment.
That itty bitty
We're
apartment.
in the Midwest, so we think everything's a house.
Yeah, that was an itty bitty apartment, and he had a shit ton of people living with him because he had Freeze, and he had obviously himself and
Brooke.
Angel, and Brooke was living with him.
Brooke was living there too.
Okay.
I think Gitsy was living there.
And for context, Gitsy is like his girlfriend who was way too young to even be with him, and then Brooke was
the
piercing person.
Yeah, with the piercings and the locks.
Yeah.
The purple locks. Natasha Lyonne plays her in the movie.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
I'm not a cheerleader girl.
Yeah. James St. James might have been there too. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But a lot of people were living in this house, and they were doing all the drugs.
All of them.
They were doing tons and tons and tons of drugs all the time.
And not to mention, like, they, like, before the incident, wasn't like they were snowed in or something like that, and they did all of them. They're just like, hey, we need more of this, Angel.
Yeah, so they did, like, $2,000 to $3,000 worth of his drugs, and this is, like, 90s money, too.
Yeah, that's a shit ton.
Like, and they were like, oh, what are we going to tell Angel? And Michael, when he comes in, just goes, oh, we did all your drugs and we need more.
Yeah. And, of course, you know, Angel's not going to take too kindly to that. Like, you owe me money.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
And so that's kind of where the infamous murder happens.
Yes. So in 1996, the murder takes place.
And we have the date as March 17th. And basically how it began was, you know, the confrontation between Angel and Michael. And if I remember correctly, a lot of our sources basically, there's different sources, and it's basically based off of Freeze and Michael's account.
Yeah, Freeze's confession and then Michael's account.
Yeah, and basically what happened was that Angel basically attacked Michael first, or at least that's what Freeze
I think
says.
that is debatable.
I do agree with that.
There was an altercation.
Yeah.
There was an altercation between them that Freeze walks in on.
Yes, and basically when Freeze saw it in his testimony, he basically says along the lines of, well, I saw Michael struggling and saying, help, help, help. And then he started going for the throat, and then that's when he found a hammer and just whacked Angel on the head.
Yeah.
But kept doing it multiple times.
Yeah.
Until Michael took over.
Yeah, so from Freeze's account of what happened in his police recorded confession, Michael then dragged him to the bathroom and poured Drano down Angel's throat.
And duct taped his mouth shut.
And duct taped the mouth shut, yeah.
So basically just asphyxiated him, suffocated him, made him basically drown.
Well, I mean,
poison.
Drano's gonna eat your guts out.
Well, yeah.
That's like...
But, like, and we didn't know if he, like, actually knocked him out after beating him senseless. Like, that's what killed him. No, it's definitely that Drano fucked him up,
Yeah.
you know?
Michael Alig later denies this, but...
Yeah, well, in the movie, they show him being injected with Drano, and it's like, no.
Yeah, that was, like, I think that was, like, one of, like, the rumors going around.
Mm-hmm. And, that just, I can't even imagine, but apparently they stripped him down later, placed him in the bathtub.
Yeah, fill the bathtub with like Drano and stuff.
Yeah.
Because they were like, oh, what do we do to get rid of a body?
And also to get rid of the smell, because it was like 5 to 7 days that they let this Angel sit, right?
So they pull him to the bathtub, and then they're like, we got to do something with this. So eventually Michael tells Freeze that if you get me 10 bags of heroin, I'll take care of it. And so then Michael proceeds to dismember the body.
But yeah, I can't imagine the smell that was going on in there. I mean, as a funeral director, unfortunately, I've been called out on scenes where somebody has died in a bathtub, and that's just water. Water breaks down shit so fucking quick on a body. Like, that is a recipe for a disaster if a body's in water, because your body is already made up of mostly water, so it breaks down everything more. And especially if somebody has drugs in their system, that makes it 10 times worse. Drugs and water do not mix when it comes to bodies and decomposition. So I can't imagine what type of smell that was. But to continue.
Then they put them in boxes.
Yes, he was brutally dismembered.
Yeah.
What was it? There was rumors going around that like his head was somewhere else and that his hands were somewhere.
So he threw the legs away.
He just threw them out?
He just threw them out. He just threw the legs away, put the torso in
the big TV box.
In a big TV box. And like that was just sat in their living room for a few days because the girls recall like sitting next to it. The girls who lived there were called sitting next to it and not knowing.
That's fucking nuts. Mm-hmm. And I just they also had in like I think one of the other documentaries that we saw, because you know we talked about this at the beginning that this particular documentary, Party Monster, was basically James St. Jane's account for the most part, and
it's like it's a lot of different people's, but nothing's unbiased,
right? And so we decided to do a little bit more research just so that we had the full story. And I know that they showed a portion on one of the documentaries where you can see this nasty gash in the back of his head, of Michael's neck, rather. Mm-hmm. And also that his hands had been really gross and red.
Yeah.
The night of the party. And it's like, And then he said that it was hair dye. And it's like, interesting.
Yeah. To be fair, I've dyed my hair red with Manic Panic before, and that shit does stain. So it's a very good cover-up for being covered in blood.
Right. He literally could have just said, it was out of self-defense, and called the police, and you would have taken care of it. You didn't need to dispose of him like that or be that disrespectful or wait 5 to 7 days before you fucking did something about it, you know?
Yeah,
but also,
I think that can also possibly speak to, the reality of what happened in that room and how self-defense related it actually was, probably.
Right. Yeah, someone said that apparently the head was in somebody's refrigerator in New Jersey, but that was just rumor.
I don't think that's true.
Actually,
I don't think that's true. But in early September of 96, the box that the torso was in washed up on shore.
If I remember correctly, one of them was that there was children that pulled that box out.
Oh my God.
And discovered it.
So bad. I know the coroner mistook him for a Chinese man.
No.
Or someone of Asian descent. Uh-huh. So he remained a John Doe for a really long time because of that. Mm-hmm. Because of that misinformation. So he was just a missing person.
Well, and that was the
Angel Melendez was just a missing person for a very, very long time.
And Johnny, his brother was the one that was doing everything to try to, like, find him. He was putting out posters, $4,000 reward, all that sort of thing to find his brother because he hadn't heard from him in a while, but yet everybody knew him. He was an unknown person, but yet everybody knew him.
Yeah.
And that was just so baffling to him, and I can't even imagine what he must have felt, especially with all this coming to light, too.
So during this whole period of time, Michael Alig is still going out to clubs, partying, and just telling people that he has murdered Angel. Just straight up telling people.
Yeah, I murdered him.
Yeah. And he says at first it was to make other people also hold his secrets, which is like the most narcissistic shit I've ever heard.
Oh my God.
And then he was like, well, and then after that we had to keep telling people that we did it so they don't think we did it.
This man.
Some of the most chilling parts of the documentary, Party Monster, are those interviews with him 3 months before his arrest.
Yes.
Where he is
he's just blatant about it. He's just like, and he's making jokes. And he's like, you did this horrible thing to this once living person.
Yeah, he's a whole person. He's a whole
had a family
person.
And people looking for him. And you decided to just, oh yeah, nope, I killed him. It's crazy to me how despicable he is and just how nonchalant he was about the whole thing.
Yeah. And then Michael Musto, who is iconic in his own right, hears all these rumors and writes and publishes a blind item in was it the New Yorker or the Village Voice?
One of those, but yes.
I know he primarily wrote for the Village Voice, but I'm not sure which publication that one was featured in. Mm-hmm. But talking about Michael Alig and how he is going around saying that he killed this missing person.
Mm-hmm. And was this during the time that Angel's friend made that song, Freedom?
I don't know about that whole situation.
Because that's an odd thing. And I was hoping, because you know how we are on the show, we want to give as much information about the victim as much as possible, because they were a real person. I was hoping we'd have some more accounts from her as far as, because she kept saying, oh, it's my friend. And it's like, was Angel your friend? You didn't have much to say about him.
That whole exercise in songwriting seemed very self-serving.
A lot.
I don't know. I don't love that.
It was a lot. I don't know how else to describe that.
But yeah, so that article is what basically made everybody aware of the situation. And I think it's what the police first noticed as well. Mm-hmm. So after that, Michael Alig hightailed it on out of there, tried to make it to Colorado, road tripped on out with a bunch of guys.
He rode back to South Bend at one point, didn't he?
Yeah. They get to Indiana and they meet up with his mom, and he is just in full heroin withdrawal.
Mm-hmm. And just her describing all that about her son, I'm like, how much of this is for show and how much of it did she actually mean?
Yeah, I get you love your kid and all, but fuck that lady.
She is weird. She's an instinct, she eggs it on, and it's
yeah, if your kid murders somebody, maybe don't blindly stand by them.
Yeah.
That's insane.
She's an odd woman. When was he finally actually arrested?
I'm not sure when exactly they were arrested, but on October 1st of 1997, they both pled guilty and were to manslaughter charges and were sentenced to 10 to 20 years in prison. As soon as they were arrested, Freeze cracked and confessed everything.
Yeah. Because he was even, kind of in the same space as Michael. Yeah, I killed him. Oh. Yeah. And then he
took a plea deal.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yes. Because he gets out of prison 4 years before Michael. But also, while Michael is in prison, he gets caught with heroin. He ends up spending 5 years in solitary confinement.
Ooh.
which is insane torture, but he's a terrible guy.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody should be punished like that, personally.
It's a lot.
I have
can't
feelings about
imagine.
the American penal system. It's not great.
Yeah.
They remain in prison until 2010. Freeze is released. And then 2014, the year I graduated high school, Michael Alig is released from prison.
Same. Graduated in 2014.
Yeah, we've both been graduated a decade. How do you feel about that? Side note.
Yeah, that's weird. That's weird to say it's been 10 years. The fuck?
Yeah.
Nah, 2014 was just a couple years ago. 3 years ago. But yeah, that's crazy to think that he got out in our lifetime. I mean, damn, dude. Like, what you did was terrible.
Oh, yeah. He absolutely just, like, killed somebody. And he doesn't feel, like, any remorse about it. He thinks that it sucks that it affected his life like this, but he thinks everybody should just move on.
Oh, especially
which is so fucking gross.
Big slap in the face that he had in that one, other.
It was like an old Inside edition.
Inside edition.
Where afterwards, after he's out of prison, he's
like literally like, oh yeah, the family can come to me anytime. Fuck you, dude. You're such a dick.
It's insane.
He's such a narcissist. Like, just we'll have to have like Luke play a little bit of the video for you just so you could see just god damn, he's just so full of himself. It's not even funny.
Did you have a party in the apartment while Freeze was in?
You know, no, we did not. Things like that upset me because they add an air of sinisterness and darkness to the. It's already a terrible situation, already a dark situation, but that specific thing changes the story from something that possibly could be forgivable in a certain, you know, by certain people in a certain, to something that maybe isn't so forgivable, because it's like now there's like premeditation and there's like malice and kind of, you know, and so that bothers me. It insinuates an air of you know, just callousness and like we don't care, or like, you know.
So immediately after getting released from prison, he started like a YouTube channel, because of course he did. And little baby hell absolutely subscribed to that and watched it. And it was hearing this man talk was like just fucking insane. Just like psycho shit.
See, and that's what makes me think of Varg. Varg does the same bullshit. He killed his friend too. So it's like just psycho people get YouTube channels.
Yeah, and so he starts like a daily like show.
Oh.
Like his like daily like pop culture news show, and it's called Pew.
What?
Yeah, and he does it with Ernie Glam, who was in the documentary.
Oh.
He was the one showing off all the outfits.
Oh, yep. Mm-hmm.
And all the pieces and stuff.
Yeah. That was him?
Yeah, that's Ernie Glam, and they were friends after his release, so cool guy.
Interesting.
Cool guy there. But not that long after his release, Michael is arrested again for like trespassing and drug possession, and is just overall just like it's very obvious this man is just a psycho narcissist. Like,
doesn't learn his lesson.
He would really often brag about like how many like personality disorders he was diagnosed with.
He would be the type.
Yeah, he was like very proud of that. He was like, everybody says I'm the worst they've seen, and it's like cool.
You want to brag about that, huh?
Neat.
Well,
neat guy.
You know what they say about garbage people? They usually take themselves out, and in this case,
he did.
He really did. Not kill himself per se, but not.
Yeah. So
not by suicide.
In 2020, Michael Alig died of a drug overdose, heroin and fentanyl.
And he even says in one of his interviews that he believes in karma, and I'm like, well,
yeah.
I bet you saw it coming then.
Yeah.
A fitting end to a shit person.
Honestly, he died really sad and pathetic.
Because it was like at the height of 2020, wasn't it? When he died? Like, Like, I don't know when, but like it was during 2020 when
Yeah.
everybody's like basically locked up in the room, and he just is
2020 was rough for everybody, but
yeah, but like he's just there. Let's do it. That's the crazy story about Party Monster. It's just a lot. It's just a lot to take in. Like, we've covered a lot of like psychos on this show, but it's also like, damn, dude. This could have been solved so much more easier.
You truly watch like any interviews and anything, and you really do get the sense of he like does not see Angel as a person.
No, not at all.
He's just a blip on his radar of life that really inconvenienced him. And he does not feel bad about it, except for how it has inconvenienced himself.
Just an overall bad dude, and good riddance to terrible garbage. So, hope you guys liked that. A little true crime. It was a little different this time, but I think you guys can enjoy it and take something away from it.
If you like the club kids and like that aspect of the whole story, Michael Alig is not the person to celebrate.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of really cool artists within that movement that are absolutely worth looking into.
Definitely.
Like Walt Paper and Jenny Talia and Amanda Lepore. Lee Bowery. Lee Bowery is a British club kid, but you should absolutely look into the work of Lee Bowery if you're interested in this aesthetic at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Pride Month is about celebrating who we are as queer folk. Not to mention, remember that Pride Month started as a protest. I think that's important to keep in mind.
Yeah, and I think it's also very important this year, and any year, to keep in mind we're not free, we're not liberated until all of us are liberated. So especially keep in your minds and your hearts all of our Palestinian brothers and sisters who are under attack right now.
The world's a messy place. It really is. And we try to cover that as best we can on this show, especially when it comes to our true crimes. We want to celebrate the people who are making a difference, the people who are trying to do better things to make the world a little bit brighter, a little bit better.
But also, sometimes we need the reminder as queer people that not all queer people are good people.
Exactly. That too. Precisely that.
Like, just like any group of people anywhere in the world, there are good ones and bad ones.
Exactly.
And you shouldn't just blindly follow anybody because you're like, oh, they're queer, I'm sure they're safe.
No, that's a good thing to add too. Exactly. Thank you all so much for, sharing this with us. I hope you enjoyed our little slumber party. This was fun.
This is definitely what I like to do at slumber parties.
Of course. What else would we do?
Talk about murder.
Murder and pizza.
Yeah, we did eat pizza.
Yeah, it was pretty damn good. Shout out to Yakidas. Thank you so much for the pizza. You guys are awesome. With that being said, look out for each other and good night, cellar dwellers. Have a good time.
See ya.
Bye.